evening. Again, Dr. Gordon, Superintendent. I'm going to use my dad's voice. Put that down. We're here again. We're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to be here in this space to get the voices from the people that we're making decisions for. And we were here last time. So today's presentation in full transparency will be very similar. We have a little bit more information this time, a little bit, that we can kind of share around timelines. Eric, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit that we can share. But we also want to just talk about the work. We want to go back to, for clarity, where we don't have a vision for across the keys to say that this is going to happen. And we want you all to really understand, I know trust, right? Change happens at the speed of trust, and you have to learn to trust us as we're going through this process. So we will, in our live meeting, and right now it's scheduled for the 25th of July, but it may be a different date. But that session, if it's going to be July 25th or the next session that we have, it will be more of a work model. So we're going to be picking some information, picking your brains, putting some research down, and really digging into what's best. So without further ado, I want to introduce our team, our board members, and then we're going to pass it over to Mr. Hofstadter, who will go through the presentation again. For many of you, you've seen it. Some of you haven't seen it yet. Again, I learned in my last district from my comms director, you got to hear something 7 times before it sticks. So that means we got to hear from you too 7 times before we really know what that focus and alignment is. So we have our board rep, Ms. McGinnis. We are fortunate to have 2 board members tonight. We have Ms. Burns, who's here as well. We have our cabinet members. If you're a member of the cabinet, it's always important to you can email. You don't know me, but I'm gonna give you that email address. We have our chief of staff, Mr. Palmer. We have our great COO, Mr. Hofstadter. Our 3 months in, I'm going to say, our new chief legal officer. All right. 2 months in, our new CHRO. Our new, 5-6 months in, Dr. Sauce. Service and special education, gifted and talented, early learning, pre-K. Our chief of accountability, Dr. Benson. Our champion, chief of schools, Ms. Dillard. Another new one on the block, our chief equity officer. This is someone who's going to be critical. Probably the most senior leader we got. Our chief academic officer. Very important person that deals with all of our technology, makes us flow. Ms. Davis, our CIO. And the money man, we just got his budget approved yesterday. We have other critical members of our team, so if you are another member of our dynamic admin team, please stand up. That's you, Ms. Smith. Yes. We have our councilman. Please stand up. And yes. Mayor. I'm sorry. Mayor. Sorry about that. Please. Yes. Last time. Yes. Elected officials. That's what I should have said. Elected officials standing up. Thank you. Yeah, I should have said elected officials. But without further ado, we'll send it over to Dr. Sutton's going to walk us through our presentation, and then we will have a question and Q&A session after. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ward. Thanks for everyone coming today. Those of you who have heard me 3 or 4 times, I appreciate you bearing with me one more time as we present pretty much the same thing that you've already seen. However, we do have a little bit of a few updated slides since the last few months. Again, I want to thank our board for being here and for all the support for this project in the community, as well as Councilmember Funny, Mayor Park, and Mayor Bach. Oh, there you go. Mayor Bach, also from the city of Chamberlain. So thank you all for being here. Want everybody to know it's been a great partnership. And we said, what, 7 times you have to know, right? Here's the key on there right now. We're ready to roll. We're just trying to get permitting. So as soon as we get our permit signed off, that's once, right? Then we can get this done. So that's it. We're ready to roll until we get those permits signed by our permitting office. So that's 2, right? But you said 7, right? 7. I got more time to go. Now, actually, great partnership, and we really appreciate that support, and we look forward to the future. All right, how do I turn this? Okay. Okay, boom. So we looked at the whole campus. Many of you are already familiar with it. We look for opportunities to improve. That's part of modernization. If we're going to spend the money, let's try to solve as many of the issues and challenges that we see. And here you can see quite a few. We got an improved bus loop, because right now cars and buses are pretty much mixed together. We got the parent drop-off, same thing. In our new plan, we have a separate parent drop-off and a separate bus entrance and exit. We have additional parking, which was another key issue here, and we found ways to do that. And then several security concerns. As you know, this layout is pretty wide open. Part of our plan is to enclose it, right, and create an exterior presence that will help minimize and also help control access to the campus. And again, we have several courtyards and also a new path with a very prominent front door. So that's kind of our challenges that we see. And in our site plan, so real quick, how we solve all this. One, here's the bus loop, goes along on the that side of the campus. Okay. And then we got a new building here. This will be approximately 85 to 90,000 square foot. 3-story building in the front, contains a new cafeteria, new media center, several classrooms, some visual arts rooms, some CTAE, science, and a number of other ideas. Also a new administration area making a very prominent front door entrance. We also have the parent drop-off on the Cliff Valley side, so that will help with not mixing up with the buses and that type of traffic. We have additional parking that is a little bit closer to the track that we can add. We've added an auditorium. This is the only high school left in DeKalb County Schools that does not have an auditorium. We'll talk a little bit more about the auditorium here shortly. We've also, with the kind of design we have, we've been able to enclose the courtyards. This allows for a better security posture, and also helps us to control visitors and how they access the campus. So that's kind of a whole overview of what the campus can become. So it starts off like this, and in a few years ends up like that. Okay? About half the campus will be new construction. The remaining wings that you see here, they will stay, but they will be modernized. Right? New ceilings, new air conditioning, new roofs, new floors, all right, paint, the whole thing. Right? Restrooms, same idea. Okay. What else gets renovated is also the gym. So the gym will also be modernized, and that will be cleaned up. At the end of the day, we will also have new tennis courts along with the new stadium that will be artificial turf, and including a baseball softball complex right over here where the current field is sitting. Okay. What else did everyone say? All right. Just a couple of scenes. Now, these are conceptual renderings from the architect. It won't look exactly like this, but it'll be very close. And the idea is so you can understand the architectural style and the feel. Okay. Along with the brick and a lot of windows for natural light, of which on the first floor will be ballistic glazing, okay, for extra security. We also included some granite because Brookhaven is a granite city. Okay, another main entry. You can kind of see what it would look like from the North Druid hillside. Currently, that will be out in that grassy area on the very front of the school. Again, just another look. Inside, very open, Learning Commons Media Center, as we start to call it a marketplace of ideas. Right? A way to gather, to collaborate, and talk about learning and about the future. Okay, reverse look from the second floor so it overlooks. Again, a very open feel, very inviting, and very collaborative. We've heard that. Little study booths, right? Hub rooms, other places to collaborate frequently around the campus will be added. And then we have 3 courtyards, right? The courtyards, our vision, but this is where the community will come in when we get to that point in about 2 years, is how can we increase these courtyards to also be very inviting and also help with the learning. So things like a STEM courtyard, a STEM theme, or an arts and poetry courtyard, or performing arts courtyard, something of that nature. So we'll be kind of back here within a year or 2. And as we get towards the end of the project and we get these courtyards finished, we'll be able to solicit some ideas with the community. All right, so this looks into the auditorium because on that building back there, which is not currently there now, this will be the new entranceway to the auditorium. Now, the auditorium was designed through charrettes with the current staff, the principal, other administrators, as we looked at what does a modern auditorium look like? How should it operate? How can it be used? So it's a little bit different from the seating point of view, but I first want to tell you, if you are a student on stage performing, it will be one of the best ones, if not the best one, and the most modern here in DeKalb schools. Again, you can see lots of glass, but the one thing you will notice is a flat floor. Now, many theaters you go into, you'll see the rising floor with the seats in it, dark lights, right, the whole thing, with a stage. One of the things that we looked at here with trustees and with the staff told us is more areas that they could use. So we look at how can buildings become more adaptable as we look for the next 50 years. Because that's how long we want these schools to be here at least. So how does programming change? Wouldn't it be nice to have this kind of a facility that could help support whatever the new initiative is? So the idea of the flat floor is just that. One, we have bleachers that are portable we bring in to do any kind of performance. We can also do flat floor seating. We can do different pods. We can do tables and chairs. You can have banquets. You can have other competitions. It's the same type of idea that you would see out on the girls' soccer field, which also doubles as the boys' soccer field, which also doubles as the lacrosse field, and triples as the football field, right? The gymnasium is not just for basketball, it's also for volleyball, it's also for wrestling and a number of other multi-purpose activities. So to have a building like this that allows for world-class performances by the students and the actors, it also accommodates a number of ways to go ahead and view and be a part of it, but also support the school mission when we're not using it in the evening for musical performances. So that was the concept that was brought out to us, and this is kind of the field that you can see. But again, there's a reverse view here up on stage. Now here's some of the newer things. If you've already seen this, here's some of the newer slides. So we'll go a little bit more in depth about the performing arts suites and the music suites, because this is where I got many questions on. You can see the auditorium will be able to accommodate several hundred guests, right? A large stage with a scene shop, dressing rooms, extra storage. We have an orchestra room that's going in, a small black box theater for smaller performances, along with concessions, additional practice rooms, a keyboarding room, a band room, and all kinds of storage, plus a pre-function area. Right? So this is a newer concept that you're seeing come into schools, and DeKalb will lead the way with this type of innovative idea. It also blocks off the second half of that eastern side of the campus to minimize the amount of access people can get into the school. Right? So it kind of also creates a bookend. So as soon as we get those permits, we will bring them. It's three? No, 3. Project schedule, not much different here. As you can see, we started this over a year ago. Actually, I don't have to tell many of you, but the cross-team conversation started, a while ago. As many of you have told me. But we've been in the schematic design development. all the way into construction documents, and right here, we're at this phase right here, this permitting phase. And as soon as we get that, we can go ahead and move on into construction. Is that 4? All right, so there we go. 4 times. Once we hit construction, it'll be a phased plan. So this will be an active campus. Students will continue to attend. All right? We do this quite often in many campuses, but we will have all the safety features, all the fencing. We'll work with the school, make sure that we have other safe routes if we need to. There will be some phases where once we build the initial building, we'll be able to move students out of their current areas, which allows time then to renovate those areas. All right, so this will take approximately, we're estimating about 3 years. If it wasn't an active campus, we could probably do a lot quicker. The issue is we need this campus to accommodate the children. So we're looking very forward to that, and as soon as we get those permits, we'll be right there. 5, everybody's listening. All right. Yeah, so you got an idea of the project phasing, right? We come in, we start with bus loops, we're going to move all the trailers. We're going to add some newer modular trailers, which will have restrooms and water and all that accoutrements. That'll be out there on the girls' soccer field. Okay. We'll move those students out so that we can build other items in, and then once we get that construction phased in, we'll be able to move students again back into those buildings so we can then turn around and renovate those buildings. We finish adding on all the final touches of the construction, and we end up in the last phase where then we remove all the mobiles, we go ahead and turf the field, and we have one of the ribbon cutting ceremony. Phasing all starts right now, getting those permits. 6. All right, so just again, overall, we kind of brought the journey where we began. We sat here, here's the final outlook from an aerial view. It's going to be a beautiful place once it's all done. And with it, it'll bring all of its rich traditions that we identify as traditions, but it'll also be a very future-focused building as well to serve this community for several generations. So we're looking forward to it. This is obviously a little bit harder to see, but if you really want to come in and look at the floor plan, we also have this online. So if you want to zoom in, you can see primarily where all different types of classrooms are laid out. Part of this is you won't see always traditional wings of vocational over here, right, and arts wing over here. A lot of it is mixed together because students have to learn to mix together, right? We have all kinds of all the arts and the vocations and the colleges and everything all mixed together in our communities. And all the students should be able to collaborate and not be able to sit in one side of the campus and not have access to everyone. By doing that, we're limiting their marketplace of ideas. And that's it. Please follow us. If you go to our capital improvement program page, there's a whole link there just for the cross keys. We'll continue to update with pictures and all kinds of other ideas. And you'll probably see more pictures of bulldozers and all that once we get that permit. So. All right, so there we go. If you have any thoughts after this, please always email us, dcsdbuilds@DeKalb Schools. Please put in the subject line what school you are talking about, as we have right now 64 projects in activity. We have another 35 that we're planning, so there's a lot going on. So it just helps us be able to answer questions. And with that, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hofstadter. We appreciate that. At this time, we will start the Q&A process. So if you do not have an index card, please raise your hand, or if you have your question already written on your index card, please raise your hand and we'll try to break it up. So I have one here, so while we're doing that, I'll go ahead and start with the first question. Will the community have access to the performing arts and sports spaces? Currently, there are no facilities like these in the surrounding neighborhoods. That's okay. That's okay. Will the community have access to the performing arts and sports spaces? Currently, there are no facilities like these in the surrounding neighborhoods.
So the school district has a building lease or a rental program of our facilities. Will it be open to general, just come in and as you are? Not necessarily, no. But we'll work with the school on certain days where they can, but we do need to make sure that we are very deliberate about that. Lieutenant Smith, we've got to be very careful about some of that. But that's not to say that we cannot partner, and we are looking at partnerships of the field use and the performing arts theater with the city and for other activities.
Will Woodward Elementary have access to any of the sports fields during the school day? Currently, the school cannot use, for example, open space on the baseball field.
So the baseball field area on the other side of the elementary school right now will be available for the school to use at their expression, as long as there's nothing else going on there. Or gamers, other activity. There will be some field space available, but not quite a lot. But we'll make sure we accommodate everyone. Woodward Elementary will, for the most part, be very secure from all the construction, as much as possible. So they shouldn't feel it or shouldn't be impacted, other than any traffic by that.
That baseball field is actually a little bit of disrepair, which is box of revenue.
Okay, yeah, so the baseball field, that is part of the project at the end. So that will get renovated all the way. We are looking at possibly moving it up, but I'm not sure we can do it at this point in order to do the phasing. But that is part of the project to be renovated. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hofstadter, where will the tennis courts be?
Tennis courts, might be easier to show. So currently, if you come up the elementary school over here, you come around. So you get the parking lot down here, and the tennis courts will go right there on the south side of the stadium. That makes sense? I think right now there might be trailers on there, mobile, if I remember correctly. But at the end of the day, that's where we're currently planning on locating.
Thank you. I want to follow up with lights. Will there be restrooms and lights near the baseball field?
That is what we're working with our architect right now, is that lights is an initiative of the school district, and that's what's being contemplated out there with the architect. One, how do you run lights, but also we want to make sure it's safe and secure, with lights also from the restroom facilities and other facilities that you would need to operate games. So we're trying to make all that fit in down there, but it's a little bit of a challenge. But the architects are working on it.
Okay. Isn't the district putting the cart before the horse by planning programming for cross keys before the redistricting is done?
So this is, again, reimagining. This is the project that stepped out way before we started. We know that it would be fair for us to halt and pause the process. We are going to use some of the tenets and components that we use for student assignment planning to help make decisions here. We kind of contemplated that, but we don't really have the time to wait. And I think what's going to end up happening, we're about 2 years, this process to fully get flushed out, about 2 years, roughly 2.5. Student assignment planning, well, that first cycle should be done around that time. So we are starting with you all. I think having just a group sitting stagnant and all of these ideas grow legs and how we're going to move, we want to start to get those thoughts on paper now. So just know that we are using some of the same strategies to make sure that we can land the right situation here at the school. We're not rushing it, but we also want to be very inclusive and give as much opportunity to community members and our students and stakeholders to put their voices and the ideas in the space. So as you think about what's happening here, Cross Keys could be a pioneer of what's to come with the student assignment plan. So we're in a really good window right now to really be aligned around the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Woodward.
Just to add one again, we mentioned it before, our mode of construction is what we call adaptable. So regardless of whatever program it goes through, we'll be able to adapt the building very quickly and very cost effectively, unless it's some way out of the box. But we should be able to accommodate just about any program that the community decides on through that process.
Thank you. Can you tell the neighborhood stakeholders that their children won't be bused to the new Doraville High School?
That's a trick question, but simple answer, we don't know. We can't commit to it, we can't say yes, we can't say no. That's the best we can do right now. But as we start on July 25th, get those brainstorming sessions, we will have more opportunity to begin to talk about what this looks like. And it may take us, to be honest, it can take us 6 to 12 months to really land on what program looks like here. We're going to take our time, right?
Could you please discuss any plans to move magnet programs from Chamblee High School to Cross Keys? Would you like to move the entire magnet program?
Another trick question. Now, all jokes aside, we don't have an idea of what's going to happen. I can tell you this, we have got communications from many individuals about not doing that, and we're factoring all those things in. But when we sit down as a group, as an organization, and as a team, or as a family across each community, we will begin to chip away at some of the things that, yeah, we're going to put this over here because this is not the right move. Some things we put in the middle, like, hey, these are really things to consider, and others like, we're definitely going to do that. But we have to build the package totally. So just know, I think there's going to be a few questions that come with this same response will be relevant. We are not committing, right? We're not committed to exactly what's going to happen. And we don't want to put ourselves in a position to say we're not going to do something, and then the groups and we're working, and all of a sudden that's the best idea that came out. So we want to really pace ourselves and be strategic in how we maneuver to a decision.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. As recently as a month ago, a board member voiced concerns about the vision for this project. What community are we building for? Have these concerns been addressed? Are board members satisfied?
I can't speak for the board, but I can tell you this. If there's a blank sheet of paper and I would board member satisfied with that, I would be shocked. That's what we have right now. It's a blank slate. We don't have a commitment. Right? We don't keep trying with these questions, but we do not have a direction as far as what programming will look like. We are really working to build trust with you all so that we can get in this lab and begin to chop away at, or begin to design and what this programming will say. And again, I think I can't say this for our board members, they are advocates for their community. And so if there's a direction that they felt we were going that was not representative of the constituents, they expressed that. But I think we've truly done in a position where as administration, we are open. And this is about us being able to connect and really build the trust that we're going to do these things. And trust me, when I say this, we understand why the trust has been broken. This has been a long time coming, and the district, I can only speak about the district collectively, we have not always delivered on things that we said we were going to deliver upon. And we have to really work strategically again to get there. What's the next question, Harrison?
I wish I had recorded that. So here goes. If Cross Keys turns into a CTAE school, will the design change to accommodate more career-based classroom needs, like an auto shop? How do you design a school not knowing exactly what it is going to be used for?
Eric Hofstadter answered that. We are building an adaptable school. So this is it's exciting. So it doesn't pause us, it doesn't lock us in, but we're able to design a facility that will allow us to go in many directions. That's the new way in which schools are being built, because needs in society changes, right? The job market changes, all these things shift. And when you build schools that are so locked in and committed to one way, it becomes a waste of dollars and time, and it becomes buildings can be ran inefficiently. So the building has been designed so that we can take on and tackle whatever we decide to do as the Cross. Being a cool name, we kind of get this, the Cross Keys, whatever what's not the Phoenix? The Phoenix, all right. The Phoenix group is going to take off and really make a decision about where we're going with this.
Okay. I heard when the school is completed, it will not be a community school. It would not have an attendance zone. Is that correct, or is that a possibility?
You said that was
Yeah.
not correct.
That is.
That's more than about 7. No, two more. No, no, that is not. That's not the position that we're in right now. We are really, again, we came here to share this information, share updates, and then to put out this olive branch to you all. Like, hey, give us a chance to kind of let's trust each other in the process. And this is what we're here for today, more than anything.
Thank you. Mr. Hofstetter, will the large baseball field be turfed? Could it be multi-purpose?
Thank you for that question. So one of the phases we're looking at is we have many high schools with very small campuses. Just like some of the other projects, what we're looking at there is what we call a combination baseball softball field. So it's largely just a baseball field that can also accommodate with some fencing to turn it into a softball field for their requirements. In that case, absolutely, it will be turf.
We'll shift gears a little bit and talk about demographics. Can you address the current demographics across Kings? Do you think this project will change the demographics of the school? What will be done to encourage a diverse student body?
Ms. Smith, I think we just landed on our first focus group for our meeting in July. I don't have an exact answer for that, but our goal is to always capture the needs and the wants of the community. And I'm just going to speak from past experiences where we had to ask our community members what was more important, right? This is an example of having a walkable school or diversified schools. It went out to the community. And you know what came back? People want to walkable schools. So I can assume, right? You can assume that everyone wants diversity, which is actually an amazing thing for all of us. But before we go down that path, we have to be able to assess and get the voices of the community. Same thing. Every decision around this, except for the fact that we're starting now. I know some want us to pause. We're starting now with the building and the process for it, but outside of that, it is wide open. And where we're going to go, the members of this community will help us to decide that. Right? And there's going to be some hard, I got to say this, there will be hard conversations because there are people and organizations who have a lot of power and control and how we do things in certain parts of our district. That's going to go away, and it's going to be uncomfortable because we're going to really talk about those individuals and those families that are most impacted by decisions that we make for the school. So that's going to be a hard conversation. I know I say this all loosely. This is going to be some tough work for you all as we begin to, venture down the road.
Thank you. Will the recording of this meeting be posted online somewhere other than Facebook? Yes, it will be on the banner of the flyer that is on the main website. That's where you'll find the recording. And if there are any remaining questions, that is where those responses will be. Would DCSD consider doing a mailer to the taxpayers in this area to give them more information? Yes. Yes. As a parent of 2 rising 8th graders who wishes to support public schools, it is hard not to think of leaving DeKalb County schools in the face of so much uncertainty. Can you please find ways not to disrupt students' high school experiences? Please consider mental health issues.
Do we have anyone from our team who wants to speak to that?
Should I read it?
Yeah.
Sure. As a parent of 2 rising 8th graders who wishes to support public schools, it is hard not to think of leaving DeKalb County schools in the face of so much uncertainty. Could you please find ways not to disrupt students' high school experiences? please consider mental health issues.
Thank you. That's an excellent question. And so we are considering mental health issues every step of the way, particularly for our high school students where we've opened up safe centers. And so Cross Keys High School is actually one of the schools where we have a safe center. We have mentoring programs here. We have a therapist that comes to the school every single day of the week and works with our students here individually, and he works with the families as well. We also have a licensed social worker that works out of the Safe Center every day, is here to help our students, and she's gone to a lot of extensive training. She's trained in mental health first aid, restorative practices, connections matter, substance abuse, and so she's highly skilled to provide supportive services to our students here. Throughout the district, in our elementary schools and middle schools, we also have school counselors that work with our students. We have school psychologists and school social workers assigned to all of our schools. So we take mental health very seriously, not only in this area, but throughout the district. And we have a lot of services in place to meet those needs.
And then I would say, one of the things that we know is important when you're changing school designs. You have students right now that's in 5th grade, and they're looking forward to coming to Cross Keys or the schools that they're attending. What we're going to do in past experiences, we actually give those students a chance to give them a chance to have a voice in the process. We take some time for them to understand like the benefits of this, because if we're not painting a picture of like the why, yeah, we want a beautiful building, but the great experiences that they'll get by being in a facility like this, we have to be very clear, because the families have been here for a couple of generations, and they're connected. And so we're not oblivious to that connection with the current design and where how Cross Keys is laid out and who attends here. So we have to be very, very conscious, and there will be some work that we'll do with our mental health supports to make sure that our students and our families are being connected and we transition to this reimagining, and not just all of a sudden we're doing it through school. We're not doing something to our students. We want to do it with you and for you.
Thank you. Mr. Hofstadter, do you have access to this data in a general sense? Any sense of how many students who are not attending Cross Keys that live in Lenox Park, Pine Hills, or other surrounding neighborhoods?
I don't have it with me tonight, but our GIS team, I'm sure we can get that information. As long as those students are registered at either a private school or a home school, we should be able to get that info. We can post that on our website.
What are we doing to directly engage with this Cross Keys community in mostly Spanish-speaking? I do not see them represented here. When I speak with this community, they are more concerned with increasing the poor graduation rate rather than the look of the school. This time around, in listening to your concerns at the last meeting, we did do a greater outreach in terms of reaching all of our diverse communities, especially our Spanish-speaking population. Our ambassadors went out into the communities to ensure that they were aware of this meeting and able to attend. Also, there is translation here at the meeting. There's translation on Facebook. When they go to DSTV, there will be translation there. So we did also reach out to some community groups that our ambassadors have relationships with to ensure that we have a diverse listening audience. So we know that we have to keep trying to do that. From my understanding also, the information was put in WhatsApp. So we're just looking for as many ways as we can to ensure that our communities are made aware of this meeting and that we're able to engage them as well. That is our final question, our index card. We'd like to thank you for attending, and I will turn it over to Dr. Courtney.
Yeah. Some questions.
Oh, yes, thank you.
have those? You have all of them.
Ms. Smith will give some responses to some questions that relate to student assignment. They came in earlier this week. Thank you very much. I'm Serena Smith. I'm the Executive Director of Student Assignment. And I think I just want to reiterate what Dr. Gordon said. There were some questions about what could possibly be at Cross Keys. We're halting those because those are a bit leading to say what do you want here, or are there things that you want here that we have already maybe conjured up. So we have kind of backtracking that a little bit to push it through the student assignment process to have more open-ended questions like what does a premier high school look like at Cross Keys versus what type of things we want at Cross Keys in our premier and insurance possibilities. So we're really pushing that back. Some of the questions that came from Ms. McGinnis around high achievers, there was asked questions about the wait list for high achievers, how many kids were on high achievers at Shanley, but that may attend the Cross Keys or the Cross Keys area. So we have 2 high achievers programs, one's at Southwest DeKalb, one's at Shanley. Southwest DeKalb typically fills their seats. We do not have a wait list there. Shanley High School, we consistently have a wait list of like 40 or more students, but those numbers are upwards in 300s, right, of students that are in those programs. So I think as Dr. Gordon pointed out, we will be looking at that program. We will be looking at how it will impact on that community, what that program means, diving into some data around it, and we'll give any recommendations. The other question was about moving that high achievers program from one campus to another. Again, we are looking at all possibilities of what that looks like. I will say we've gotten a pretty good cross-section across these community members who essentially said they don't want to feel other than they just want a great high school. That's what I've heard time and time again. We don't want special anything. We don't want another program. We just want to have a phenomenal high school, give us something, everything that every other high school has. Understood, right? And so when we talk about the meeting in July, it's really like, what does that look like? If that looks like to you guys and CTAEs in here, then we need to put that on the table, right? I do think that there is some conversations of community CTAE, 3, I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, there's some partnerships that want to do on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And other cities that we have. So like that's a whole conversation district-wide that again doesn't necessarily have to be here, right? And so we want to put that stuff on the table and think about how that impacts, because it sounds like a great idea in the forefront, but you really have to dig deeper and see what that impact really is and why the program is what it is here. So we'll be exploring that. We talked a little bit about magnet. I think those are my 2 things: magnet, and if we're moving programs. And then again, what that process is like. So again, everything on the table, but we will be looking at it through a data lens. We will be translating that with how the community feels about it, what the data says, and then what that impact will actually be. It doesn't meet our kind of priorities, if you will, of student assignment. There were other questions. One was calling meeting. Are we considering agenda items for community meetings, like sharing agenda before community members come so they can participate?
Yes, that's something we can start doing. Again, these are information we disperse to. The next one, we can actually probably craft an agenda with some room for, to make adjustments to give that to you all earlier in advance. And so that's a great idea. Thank you for that. We should be able to do that. I think this is a very delicate time. We have people who are disconnected in the summer, and we respect that. We honor that. But we also have people who are plugged in all year long, and so we want to make sure that we honor that. And our team, we work 365. We're always here. We're recording these meetings. The fact that we have individuals out in the space tonight means a lot to us. We will continue to stay consistent with having a frequency of meetings. Right? That's a part of the strategy to make sure we stay connected. And we don't let this space and this time grow legs and go into something else. So we will continue to find time to meet, and we will transition from a position of us being the stage to us really being thought partners in this next round as we move forward. In these next few rounds that we'll have.
And the last
asked questions were really about CTAE. Again, kind of the questions around CTAE, how could you provide meaningful information if you're not even sure what CTAE is or what CTAE offers, outcomes in the school. And so again, we're kind of pausing on those until we come to that meeting. I have been working with the executive director of CTA in Wisconsin just to really grab some information. Data is a little tricky around CTA because it is a program and not necessarily a school or something you technically registered for. And the schools kind of track that information differently. So we're really digging a little bit to figure out how those kids are flagged inside of our system, and then how we can pull that information so we can really compare something to show you guys so we can then again make some informed decisions. And again, something bigger around CTA is coming. Hopefully we'll have, I believe there's a meeting in July for that, so hopefully we'll have some preliminary information to share about some possibilities and what other schools are doing around CTA as an option for us to talk about. I think that's like, take a look at something. That's not right.
Thank you. Before we close out, did you have anything you want to say to the audience, Mr. Dumas?
Thank you. So I really just wanted to thank you all for being here, for coming out. I think if you took away one message from this meeting, it's that we want to hear from you. We want this to be a community-driven process. We want to hear what your ideas are, what your aspirations are, what you don't like, what you do like, as Dr. Horton said, this is one a series of meetings that we will be having. I guess this is really three, I think. So this is part of an ongoing conversation, and I think my takeaway message would just be, please participate in whatever way you can. That doesn't look like coming to every single meeting. You can tune in online, you can watch it on replay, you can email me, you can email Dr. Horton, you can email Mr. Hofstetter. We've had some thought exchange questions. So we are really trying to let there be a variety of ways that you can participate and just find the one that works for you. But we really do want to hear what are your ideas, what do you like, what do you not like. This is an amazing opportunity for this community. We are rebuilding the school. We are reimagining programming. You may have heard that we have adopted a new mascot for the school, which is the Phoenix, and I could not think of a better mascot at this point. That is truly what we are doing here, is we are reimagining a rebirth of this school as something new, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to participate. So that's my takeaway message, is please be involved, be engaged, whatever that looks like for you. We really do want to hear from you.
Thank you, Ms. McGinnis. She's a really strong advocate for her community and for the school specifically. So I want to close out. I can tell I'm getting older. I had a birthday in May, so now I'm going to tell my age. But I like telling stories. And have you all heard the story, Old Warwick? Haven't heard that? You've never heard that. So, Old Warwick. There was a gentleman back in the 80s, and he was actually riding down the highway and going on a trip. It was around the time he had these maps. Navigation didn't exist. I know many of you all probably know what that even looks like. But they were maps, you could open up paper, all that addresses on the end. But his map fell on the floor in his car while he was driving, so he reaches over to try to grab it, and the car goes into the ditch. Can't get it out. And so he's in no man's land. So he gets out of his car, he walks for about 6-7 miles, and he sees this farm. He's a city guy. He walks over to the farm, to the house of the farmer, and he tells him what's going on. He says, my car went over into the ditch, and I need a phone. He said, no, I got Old Warwick who can help you get that out the ditch. And he said, oh, Warwick, like is that your tow truck or something? Did you name it? Is that what it's called? He said, no, it's my mule over there. Points to the mule, and the guy's like, man, I don't believe that. So they get the mule, they go down to the car, they hook the mule up to the car, and so he says, what? Oh, say, get out of the way. Warwick has this. And he says, after he ties it to the mule, he says, pull, Fred. Pull, Kevin. Pull, Mason. Pull, Warwick. And Warwick pulls the car out the ditch. So the man is like amazed, like, hey, what just happened here? Why don't you call those other names? And he said, well, old Warwick was raised, if he thinks there are other people pulling the weight, he'll put his best foot forward every single time. And I'm asking all of you, put your best foot forward, trust in us, and let's be like old Warwick as we pull to move this school to new heights, new levels.